Hi. Hi Archana. Hey Alka. It's nice to see three people. Amita too. Very nice. Just started, Archana. Just started. I was actually waiting to wind things down for the day and then start. I've been doing so many cherry blossoms in the last week or so that I felt like before I wrap up this whole cherry blossom study or so, or whatever you can call it, I thought perhaps it's good to do a live on this. So this is one of the examples of the many cherry blossoms I've made this season, and I thought this is interesting because it's a flower that is very symbolic of spring and around the world, not so much in India. And but it's gaining popularity, a lot of popularity. They're very pretty flowers, very dainty flowers. So no, you didn't miss anything, Archana. Hey Amita. Hi. Oh, Gia's joined too. Hi Gia. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I am actually out of cards again. I always am out of cards, and so I'm going to try making a card with watercolor paper, and we are going to draw I'm going to paint a few cherry blossoms similar to this. So if I were to analyze what I have done on this page, this is a very loose style. This is not precise. I would say it's not as detailed as a realistic painting of a cherry blossom. This is a very loosely painted cherry blossom, but it captures the gist of what we are trying to show about the flower, right? The main key aspects about the flower, and that's what I like about this particular subject, painting it loose, because loose allows me to do things faster, paint faster, and therefore do more of it, if you get what I mean. When we do a painting, especially when we are tending towards realism, we tend to spend a lot of time putting in the detail, which is actually an amazing thing. It's a skill in itself. But loose painting too is a skill that is a very nice skill to have, because it allows you to create more often, and it allows you to create, give yourself a chance to do more, not just often, but do more of something that you want to create, a subject you want to study. So what I like about subjects I do is that I can easily, quickly do something on a card, make it a card, give it away, give my art away in some way or the other. That is something that I really enjoy doing with whatever subject I take up. So cherry blossoms are also an excellent, in fact this season alone I have done a lot of cherry blossoms in different mediums. This is watercolor, but I'll show you my cherry blossom in poster color on black paper. This was an amazing experience actually. It took a lot of it's almost entirely a reverse in terms of technique to the technique applied for watercolor when you're using something as opaque as poster or gouache or acrylic colors. The technique, when I say technique, the way we bring out the light and the dark, these are very different from what we do with watercolor, and yet we want to, it captures so much of the niceness of the flower even this way, even though it is quite opaque. The real cherry blossom flower, in reality, if you look at photos, it's quite a translucent petal. So watercolor is excellent actually to capture that translucency, the delicateness of the leaf and stuff like that. But even without watercolor, poster colors and other opaque mediums, you can still capture some amount of that daintiness, So this is one example. Okay, I'm going to take this watercolor sheet and I want to try this out for the first time. I'm using it's supposed to be cold pressed paper, and it's definitely not probably not cotton. I'm not sure, it's not saying what it is, but the point is that it is 200 GSM. Normally I use 300 GSM for most of my watercolor work, but this time I'm using 200 GSM, and if you get 140, even that is not bad. The reason I say it's not bad is because it's great for cards. It's great for folding and using as cards. 300 GSM gets a little bit too thick to fold and use as a card. So when I use 300 GSM, what I do is I place the, so let me show you an example. Here's a 300 GSM piece of paper. Okay, it is rather thick, okay, compared to this, which is 200, and when I fold it, the crease doesn't come through very nicely, very crisp, whereas on this I get a crease that's really lovely. So what I do when I have to make a card with a thicker paper is I usually don't bend the card, and for that matter 300 GSM gets more expensive, so I avoid bending this. I just take a piece that is the size I want and I paint on it, and then I usually place it on a mount or on something that's like cardstock, and then I make my card. This is my usual way of doing making cards. So with 300 GSM I try not to bend. I just use a cardstock, something that goes with the colors that I've used, and then I make the card with that. But today I'm making plain white cards with 200 GSM. So what I will do is I will fold this A4 sheet. Let me keep this here. I will fold my A4 sheet, and now even this at A5 size, this would be an A5. At A5 also I find this card is rather large. Okay, this is still quite a large card for me. I could do with half the size, so an A6. Okay, so these are perfect for half that size. So let me cut this up. I'll just get my bone folder and my cutter. For paints today I'll be using I'm sorry I'm not looking at the chats over here. If you have any questions, please do type. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. For paints today I am using the Winsor Newton paints, the half pan I have here, this one. It's any paints, any type of paint will do. My earlier ones were Camlin. I even did one with Daniel Smith. So it doesn't matter, it's not the paint that matters. What matters is the shade, and I'm going with something like crimson or scarlet, not scarlet, sorry, crimson or rose madder, sorry, not scarlet, crimson or rose madder. These are the colors that you'd like to pick on, because the shade of sakura that you see in photos is pinkish more than reddish. Okay, it's a more cool color. Alright, here's my A5, and I fold it further to get this is a good enough size for a card. Okay, so this is decent. So I should be able to make 2 cards today. And what else do we need? Yeah, we need a round brush, since the flowers are going to be a little small, or rather the space is small, so we keep the flowers a little small. I'm going to use a size 2 or 3. Let me have a look what the size is. I'm using Princeton Heritage round 3, size 3. So 2 or 3 round brush would be good. It will let you get rather delicate petals. The other thing I'm going to keep is a liner brush. This is Montmartre but you get liner brushes of all types. I only want it for the tip. I want it for the pollen, and for that I will use this. As I talk through this point, I paint, I will let you know what are the other options you have in terms of getting fine details without a fine liner, in case you don't have a fine liner. Okay, so these two brushes. Now we have two cards. Okay, let me keep everything aside. Here are my brushes. Water, a jar of water. I've already been painting, so my water is already pink, but a fresh jar of water would be good. Okay, so one thing I will do now is show you a few reference photos. If you go to Pinterest and check out any of my boards, you will find a board called Sakura. Let me just show you. There you go. So look for photographs. Photographs are the best way to analyze anything you're trying to learn. If you look at cherry blossoms in photos, okay, it's a very delicate flower. Like I said, the petal looks rather translucent, like crepe paper, and the common variety is a 5-petaled flower, but this is not always the case. Sakura comes in other types as well. I don't know if I have. Oh, this is still a 5-petal. I've seen bigger Sakura flowers with the multiple petals, many petals, 6 petals. I've seen lots of different varieties, and after a while it starts to look like as if you can't make out if they are really Sakura or something else, you know. So keep that in mind when you're looking for your reference photos. You want to look at a few of them so that you get the general idea of the leaf and the petal and its structure. So these petals are not pointed, but at the same time they're not round. They have a shape. They have a nice shape, a very dainty shape. So keep that in mind. I will just use I'll use this pen over here to show you that these petals are very cutely shaped, and that is important. You need to capture some part of that correctly. The other thing you have to remember about this plant is that they come in clusters. These flowers are in clusters, so very often they are so closely kept, they're so closely placed that they are not going to all face you, right? So I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, look at this. They're fighting for space. In that little space you have so many flowers coming in, so they're going to be angled in different angles, and that's the challenge of Sakura, painting it at least, because you want to get the angles of the flower, the planes at which the flower opens out, and you want to get that all close by. So other than that, actually the flower is quite simple, right? So you can go check my board. If not, yeah, look at this cluster. It's just so many of them, and they're all angled so funny. It's challenging. That is the challenge. The challenge is getting all these flowers and making them look somewhat dimensional, or giving it some depth and dimension, despite having so many different planes to paint. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now, I'll be using, oh, is it? How do you say this? I'm not sure how this word goes. Archana, Kanzan. I'm assuming it is. I'm not going to spell it. I'm not going to pronounce it. Simply because I may just make a mess of it. Okay. Let's begin. What I'm going to start with is getting a nice diluted shade of this one color. I think this is very vibrant, right? Okay, so I'm going to try something like this, but again, now we only have partial picture to work with, and we want to, let me see what else. Does this look nice? Yeah, this looks nice. This is white, so I'm waiting to try this on dark paper and see whether the white would look, how the white would look. You can try it on watercolor. It's just going to be a lot more challenging in terms of getting your grays and things like that, and maybe then you will need to put a background so that it stands out. You know, lots of things you can think of doing if you're going to attempt this in watercolor. But let me take a pink for now. Yeah, this is nice. I'm trying to see what kind of composition. The composition is very important at this point. We want to see how to place it in this, on this sheet here. So let me look at something that has a good composition. Ah, this is not bad. But again, I want something with buds. I've already attempted this, I think. Is this the one that I've attempted? Yeah, appears to be. Okay. Let me try this. It's looking rather pretty. Okay. So I will take my brush and look for the uppermost flower. The uppermost flower could be this or this, but as long as they don't overlap. The one that is least overlapping is the uppermost flower, and that's the important thing to remember in watercolor. Uppermost is foremost. I mean, you have to get that right, because if you can't paint over something, or like once you put paint down, it's very hard to paint something on top of it, because transparency causes whatever you're painting on top the water you're painting below to show through whatever you're going to paint on top of it. So that's why you need to paint what is on top first. So now here what I'm doing is, I'm not taking any more paint. I'm actually going to play around with water. I'm dipping in water, and whatever paint is left on my brush, that's all that I'm literally taking something from here, and that's it. I'm not going to take any more paint, because I want to maintain that softness. Dipping in water. I'm actually just trying to get the shape of the flower. Okay, that's one. I'll try this one now here. Dipping in a little paint here, but now I'd like to take the petal from this side. Okay, the reason is I want my darker shades of pink also to move around a little bit, like not be concentrated on one side just because I started here, so my darker side is here, but now if I start on this side, I bring the darker shade to the other side. You'll see what I mean once I've painted a few. Okay, so now it's just water. After I take that first petal, paint for the first petal, after that is just water. I try to use the same thing. I'm just looking at the shape as I see it. This is not perfect in any way, and the middle is definitely not white, but oh, I should have done this fast. Mistake. Okay, I'm going to go in with a little bit of paint again on this side. Okay, I'm re-wetting my petals. I'll tell you why. I should have done this fast. While my petals are wet, I want to go in with a little bit of deep pink and just drop in a little bit in the center while it is wet. This is important, because this effect, you know, of the center, you really can't. This is the best part about watercolor, right? Whatever the wet on wet does, however unique it is. Can't see the red pick? Oh, you can't see what pick? Sorry. Oh, you want to see the color? Sorry. Okay, I am should pull out this. Does this come out? Ouch. Yeah, this doesn't come out, so let me just show you this is my Winsor Newton shade. I forget what that shade is. It's a pinkish hue. I'll show you the colors I have. Let me just pick up a sheet of. I never have a blank paper when I need one. Alright, here. This is the shade of I'm not sure if it's rose madder, maybe not rose madder. This must be just carmine or ultra, what is that color? Oh yeah, there's that very nice color, quinacridone. Yeah, this could be quinacridone. As it gets lighter, it gets really pretty, and I think it's like perfect for cherry blossoms. It's so pretty. See, pretty, right? The other color is colors I have. There is a rose madder, I think, probably rose madder. Again, I don't have the original names. Can you see this? Also mildly pink, but not what I would use for sakura. I mean, you see what I mean? I will use this when I'm doing the there you go. See, also very pretty color, just not for sakura, at least not according to me. Yeah, I don't know if this looks the same for you, but for me this is more red, more deep, and this is a lighter pink. Okay, so yeah, I will be using this color for the stamen, or yeah, stamen. Yeah, pollen. Yeah, for the pollen I will probably use that color in its very deep red shade. Okay, alright, so this is what I wanted to get before the petal dries. I wanted to get that. That's what's important. Okay, now that I have put in 2 of the top flowers, I'm going to put the bottom flower, and that's another thing you have to keep in mind. The bottom flower must be put in only after the top flower has dried. It's rather important. So if you're going to do it immediately while it is wet, it's not going to work as well. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did with the others. Basically, I'm just wetting my brush and using whatever paint is left on it to get that soft color. Okay, and I will go in with a deep bit in the middle while it is still wet. Now here the flower is slightly angled such that, okay, the angle really doesn't make that much of a difference because we haven't put in the stamen. Okay, there is one. Now I'm going to just imagine where this thing goes through. So before I put in any more, let me put in the brown. I'm using burnt umber and a little bit of black, just a wee bit, just to darken it slightly. And that I'm going to run now as a stem. So again, don't worry if where you've placed things doesn't look exactly like your reference. That's okay, and that's fine. Okay, so that's one. Oh, oops! I made a big mistake, very big mistake. I placed it completely wrong. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to find a way to fix that. There you go. I'm going to put one little bit coming out here. I think there is a bit of a sepal here, and it comes to here. Okay, this is longer than it's in the photo, which is again fine. I'm going to bring one out here. Now there is a bud here which I'd really like to make. So it comes out like this. Okay, and it's got a bit of there's a bud there. Anything else? Yeah, so I could probably put in another branch. I'm just thinking out loud. There could be a bud here too, right? Yeah, okay, let's look at another reference and see whether we can pull something else. Okay, if I bring in a branch from this side, okay, this requires a little bit of planning now that I've gone past my reference photo. So if I have a branch that goes this way, not sure you can see this. It's all in pencil now. Yeah. Okay. I put a flower here and I put a bud here. Okay. There's one bud coming here. I think that should do. So let me try one flower here. I'm keeping it simple for this one because my reference also isn't. Okay. So I'm mixing references here. Huh? So it's not one picture I'm looking at. The other thing now that I'm struggling with a little bit is that ever since AI has come into the picture, I'm not sure I'm looking at a real photograph. If you know what I mean. And it's a little scary because when I say I want a photo of a cherry blossom, I'm not sure, is that really a photo of a cherry blossom or is that an AI generated image? I'm not sure. So I'm going to assume that I have found something that is a real photo. I'm just darkening this petal a little bit because I see a little bit of. All this must be done while it is still wet, otherwise you're going to have patches. So here's my center that's missing. Before it dries, I need to put that in. Okay. And there needs to be one more flower, but that's going to come behind here. And what's going to happen is I'm going to end up is going to overlap. So let me make another type of flower. So this is a flower that is partially open. Okay, it looks like this. It's only just opening. I've given it a shape and then just running in with a little bit of. So you will notice this has no shape. You're going to put in the shape as it comes. Okay, done. This done, I'm going to get back to the brown that I'd made. This is burnt umber and a wee bit of black, but now I'm going to be a little careful because this is definitely going to go and touch some and mix with my pink a bit. Okay, leaving it. That's it. I'm not going beyond this for this flower. This is your first layer, nothing more. Okay, now in the second layer we wait for all of this to dry. In the second layer we will be putting a few slightly darker shades of this pink on top in certain places where we feel a shadow could cause depth to show. Okay, let me leave this for drying, and while it dries I'm going to take the next card and just check that this opens the right way. I am so famous for painting on the wrong side. No matter what happens, I will always make a mistake. I know I will. Okay, so I'm going to look at another reference. I'm looking for something that has flowers in different directions so that I can show you what I would do. At the same time, a pleasing composition. That's what I'm trying to get at. Flowers in different directions. Okay, this may be nice. Yeah, this may be nice. Okay, I'm looking at a flower here where I have one facing this side, a few here. Okay, let me try this. Again, we're going in with a pink, probably quinacridone. And in fact these are so light, they're almost whitish looking flowers. I'm going to have the spray come this way, sideways now. Okay, let me start with the bud. There's a bud here, and then one very close by, getting bigger, and then one over here, and then there is one that is becoming like almost opening up. You can see that it has become bigger, and then I'm going to make it lighter. That means dipping in water. There's one here, and this one is still a smaller bud. This one is also another bud here. Okay, and with that light paint I'm going to start putting the big petals. You can hardly see it, right? And that's fine, because we can't lighten something after it has become darker than it should be. That's the thing with watercolor. Okay, so if you're finding it hard to see this, don't worry, let it dry. We will go in with a few more layers. So this is such a weirdly shaped flower. You will think, what on earth is this going to, how on earth is this going to turn into a flower? But what's going to happen is eventually we'll add in a few shadows, or not shadows, hues, that will make it much better. This is the important part, to give it that center thing. Okay, alright, going in with the next flower. Now the next flower is sideways. It's let me skip the one that's here, let me put the one that's here. Again, only because I want the petals to be independent of the petals of the earlier flower. It could bleed into each other if I do the very next flower. So I'm doing the flower that's on this side, and it is almost turning this way, sideways. Centers. Okay. Alright. Anything more? I'm going to make a flower that's not there. That's not there in my picture, because I want one here. So maybe I'll look for a reference. Water. At this point it's water, so you can see how light it's become. And finally, before it dries, the center portion. You could put in here a little bit here while it is still wet, which is already dried, so I'm not going to worry. Okay, what are we left with? Yes, there is one over here that I want to get, so let's put that in here. This flower is very odd. Petal goes out. It's partially hidden here, and it's partially hidden here behind this flower. Okay, that's all I can show at the moment. There's also one little flower, or there's the petal of a flower behind it, but I'm not going to be able to draw anything else, just these two petals. That's it. Yeah. Okay, again, last part is adding the center to this flower and a little bit over here. That's it. Okay, now the stem. Again we are going in with burnt umber and a wee bit of black. Burnt umber. Now just to get the branch right, it comes from here, it joins here, and then it disappears behind this bud. Okay, now this bud here has got a little bit of, what do they call this? Sepals? I forget. I learned biology, but I chose to forget a lot. Oh, thank you, you're very kind. I don't think it's perfect, but it's definitely fun to do. Okay, so now the branch is going to start disappearing behind the flowers. Okay, and we have to find it coming out from one of these. So this one is going to join the bark over here, and that's it. Don't worry too much about it, because the more you dwell on it, the more you're going to feel like it's not looking right. Okay, overall, yes, it should just make sense that the direction of the flower is correct, and it should look like it's attached to the branch at some point. Yeah, and that's it. Alright, so the base of two cards is done. Now we go back to the first card, and let's put in some detail. Same pink, Queen Rose, with a little bit more pigment than. Now if you want to test it, try with the, oh look at that, I've forgotten which reference I used. This happens often to me. I'm gonna save this to my Sakura board. Oops. Okay, where's my Sakura board? Which one was it? Yeah, okay. So here what's gonna happen is I'm putting in a few, okay, let me show it to you. If you look at this flower, it has a few shadows on it, and we are trying to get that in our second round over here. Okay, so with my slightly darker pink, I'm going to try and put in a few shadows here. See? Now at this point, if you feel that the shadows need to be more grey because it looks grey to you, please go ahead and do it. You should paint what you see and what you feel you have observed. Okay, so I'm going to go in with pink only because I don't want to bring in a grey element here. Do you notice that there are some lines that is a shadow of the stamen? Try putting those in like this on the petal, because it's nice when the petal has that definition. Okay, but do you see that I have not really made it so dark? It's still quite light. Yeah, this is the kind of detail that we need to add to all of them. Okay, so this is under this petal here, and it is quite dark. Okay, this brings out some definition. So some portions you will find the leaf may have turned, and the turning of the leaf will leave one, oops, what am I, sorry about that. Is this clear? Yeah. So this part, if you look at my leaf here, I'm not sure if you can see it, I have colored a little bit of quite a bit of the leaf, of the petal, darker pink, leaving only the light on the edge, as if the leaf has a little turn in it. Yeah, keep that in mind. That is something you may feel like you want to capture. Now straight away, by adding these details, this middle set of 3 flowers is looking more like it has some depth. Same way, I'm going to apply a little bit of that to the other flowers. Okay, over here I have a line indicating the center of my bud. Yeah, and then I want to have one. Okay, now this part, this flower is a bit it's a flower that's just opening, so a large part of it is dark. Okay, and I'm going to get that darkness in. So this petal is turned in like this. Okay, and then this petal is turned in here. Okay, and then it starts to get lighter on this side. So I only want to show this. I only want to show the other petals. Yeah. This is the inside of the flower. The flower is still sitting like this, not opened out. It's still like this. So I'm showing the inner part of it dark. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. And the last flower is in fact quite a bit opened. So I don't have much of shadow to put except on the edges, a bit on the edges. A little bit of pink on these in the center to show that they have folds, and at the bottom of this. Yeah. Okay, once again, if you want, while things are a little wet, you can go in with a deeper shade of pink and just add in a little bit of pink in the center, like little dashes. Okay, done. Okay, one more thing to add at this point will be the brown. Let's deepen the brown of the bark. Sure. Amita, no problem. Now I'm going to go in with the same. What did we use? We used burnt umber, but this time I'm going to put in a little more black, little bit more, so that it becomes a darker shade. And I will start darkening from one side. This is because shadows, the darkest part of the branch is on one side, keeping for so darkening it a little bit at this stage, so it becomes a little more vibrant. Okay, let me do the same thing here. I'm not going to talk much through this because it's mostly the same thing. Adding a few darker hues. Not too dark, just be careful about that. You just want to give it a sense of a little depth. That's it. Too dark. So wherever you feel it's too dark, immediately wet your brush and just drag over the paint. It will lighten. Here I have, let me see where this image is. Those of you who are wondering what I'm up to, I'm looking for my reference and I have lost my reference, so it's fine, it's okay. I'm going to remember what I can and bring in the shading that I remember. This is the part that I would really advise all of you to work on when you're working on using photo references, is that you will sometimes have to wing it, as they say. And when you wing it, it's okay. There's nothing wrong in winging it. But use a little bit of your sense from what you have painted before, what you have observed, and add what you can remember. Or look at similar flowers, similar references, and get your idea back. Don't worry too much. A little bit here, that's getting dark over here. There's a little bit of shadow here. Yeah, see, depth comes in when you do this. Okay, and finally, for a little bit of darker pink, just to get the color going here, like I did for the earlier one, I just want a little bit of darkness here in the center. It doesn't have to be wet. In fact, dry would actually be better. Just want a little bit of small strokes just to deepen the color here. Yeah, that's it. Next is brown, which is repeating again, that I'm using oops, what is that? Burnt umber and black. This time now this whole thing will be dark because shadow, right? On one side, apply your shadows on one side if you can. It just gives it a good sense of it shadow being correct. And just have a look. Sometimes happens to me very often, but I tend to forget to check if all the flowers are rooted. Otherwise you're going to have a flower ambiguously sitting there without any connection to the branch. So just check for that once. Okay, going in now to my favorite part, which is adding the stamen. For the stamen, I will be using my thin brush, which is my liner brush, and I will be using a very deep color of this is going to be I think madder, rose madder in my palette, but carmine or some color like that. And if you don't have it, you can simply use the same crimson or same pink that you have and just add a dot of burnt umber. Okay, and like a dot, when I say a dot, really, oh, that's too much, this thing of black. So I think that's a little too much black. I'm going to go back to my pink. Okay, now this needs to be on a really fine brush. If you don't have a brush that's this thin, I would recommend using a gel pen or a red gel pen or anything else. Actually, to be honest, I can even suggest that you use a nib. I don't know if many would have this, but this is just a calligraphy nib. Okay, and you dip it in paint and you can get the same effect we are trying to get. So I'm trying to put dots, right? So you can get these dots even if you dip the pen in paint. But now I'm just going to do this in with the brush. So direction of the stamen is important. This flower is turned upward, so you'll notice that most of the stamen are this way. Okay, they are placed like this. After you draw your stamen, with that same thin brush, just pull down lines to the center of the flower. Okay, this has to be very, very correct. It can't be wrong because you can't have stamen coming out from anywhere else, right? So let me show you. because this flower is turned the other, towards the other side, most of the stamen on that side is going to be visible. Observe your reference photo for this if you feel that it is if you feel that you're not sure what to do. So let me just, like for example, this is not, look at your reference photo. Here the flower is facing you, so your stamen are all equally divided around, but here the flower is facing away from you, and so you're going to see like a side view of the stamen, which means most of them will be on top and nothing or near nothing is on this side, right? So keep this in mind, because this helps give the flower a sense of, give your painting some dimension. So now when you look at the stamen drawn this way, you feel that the flower is definitely turned slightly. Okay, so this flower of mine is similar to what you're seeing here. Stamen on one side, not on the other side. Okay, I'm going to go in. Now you'll ask me that you can see brownish yellow stamen. Shouldn't you be drawing brown ones? Yes, if you would like to draw brown, please go ahead. Brown, yellow stamen. Sakura flowers have different colored stamens. Many times yellowish, yes, but not always. Sometimes deep reddish. So up to you which color you want to pick. If you want to be technically correct, please go ahead and use a slightly yellowish brown as opposed to this dark shade I'm using. My very first reference was this, and I really liked this shade. Now here is a front facing flower, so I'm going to draw the stamen coming out all over here. Okay, now this is the goodness of a thin brush, a liner brush. A liner brush is so handy for this, right? The delicateness of those the stamen is caught very well with a brush like this. And if you don't have it, you could use a pencil, a pointed color pencil. You can use the tip of like I said, a gel pen, red gel pen if you'd like, but the effect will not be exactly the same. But the fine work, yes, you may get it as fine as you want it to be, because the point on a pen or a pointed pencil is quite fine. Okay, but like I said, I enjoy putting in details with a brush itself. Now this one is turned sideways, so you will notice that a majority of my stamen, of my pollen, are on this side. Small pools of paint tend to dry very fast, so keep that in mind. Try to join all your okay. Now in this case, stamen are all inside, in between. They're all here in this little space, and they're all going down to this short lines. They're all stuck here. And then you have I like distributing these first before drawing the stamen. There are some that will be in the center. Okay, just put a few dots in the center, because there are some that are going to be absolutely perpendicular to you. Okay, I'm just going to put in a few dots here. There's nothing here, leave this. Okay, now with this thin brush, what I like to do generally is I like to make a watery shade and just run my brush along the sides of the petal. Give some definition, for some petals, just for some, not for all. So here I find that here where the side petal is side facing, okay, or you want to show the difference between petals. Now here, for example, okay, I don't mind adding a little bit, like a sliver of shading. Here I definitely want to show some shadows. Okay, so I am going to do this. It just adds a little bit of it's, what do you call it, the finish. Now this one, for example, I don't have too much of shading on it because it's front facing, it's upward facing, and it doesn't really give me a chance for much. So I don't mind going around with it, little bit of. And this is rose madder, by the way, just in case you're wondering. This is the deeper, the color that you used for the stamen, watery wash of what you used for the stamen. Okay, now this is almost done. I have certain little bit of the deep shade of maroonish shade, whatever it is, I can put at the center just to give it a little bit of darkness, a circle of darkness in the center. Okay, just a circle. I would say dab your brush a bit and get that circle. Just keep dabbing in a dots around a circle kind of style, and that's it, around the center. That's it. Last things to be done are a little bit of black. Actually, yeah, black and burnt umber. More black, less burnt umber. Take the same brush, this is the liner brush, and I'm going to. The thing with liner brush, it doesn't pick up much paint, so it can give you a dry brush effect. Okay, what do you mean by dry brush effect? I'll show you. Whatever paint I take, if I just apply my brush sideways, I'm going to get this kind of a scaly, irregular shape. Let me show you. Can you see a very scaly look, rough, woody texture? This thing is only when you it's called dry brush technique. In fact, it is only when the pigment on the brush is far too little and you're grazing the bristles on the paper, and pigment is coming very, very sporadically onto your paper. Also, this happens mostly with cold press paper or rough grain paper, not so much with smooth hot press paper. By doing this, you're going to darken the branch, and that's important. Darkening the branch gives it a nice feel. Yeah. Okay, I've already been online quite a bit. I'm going to finish this off fast with little to no talking if I can. Okay, rose madder, I think. I'm going to have to go and check what color this is, please, because I'm really not sure. Singular petals and singular stamen are very nice to do. Don't shy away from attempting just the irregular ones, the ones that stand out in funny angles. They make all the difference. I like to do these top ones first, meaning the pollen first, because it also takes away most of the paint that is in my brush, leaving very little for the stamen that connects the pollen to the flower. Otherwise, if I start drawing the stamen from just as I load the brush and come straight to the paper with it, I end up getting very thick lines. And what we want actually is very thin lines. Alright, this is front facing, so let's just get you will notice that many of them are not dots, they are dashes. So if you can do those, please do draw dashes where you see dashes. Doesn't have to be exact. We haven't drawn a perfect flower. We have only done what is a loose interpretation of these flowers. Okay, going in with my watery rose madder just for a bit of shading. Oops, that was too dark. Happens sometimes, by the way, these sudden dark things. You may have gone in with a lighter shade and then you expected it to look lighter, but it didn't. Sorry, I'm not looking at comments. I hope I haven't missed anything. Centers for the buds could be a little deeper, okay, just a bit, indicating, and these lines to indicate that, oh, this is a petal overlapping or a petal that's staying hidden under, it's a nice thing to show. Okay, more water. I need to put in a little bit of dimension here. Oops. Sometimes a brush, maybe because I've not taken care of it too much, will like open out bristles will just open up, and they scare me sometimes. Here I'm going for a fine feel and the bristles are like just opened out. So don't paint, get more pigment in, shape your bristles properly. Now here I'm going to add in a little bit more depth of color. This is because the petal is hiding, petal, right, it's a petal, is hiding behind this flower, and so we are going to have a lot of shadow there. Yeah, outermost, the ones that are really in front of us, nice and open, it's very hard to put any shadows on them, because it's just the shadow of the petal turned this way, that way, that's all. You don't have anything more. What is the last thing that I need to do? Yeah, I need to put in a dark rose madder. Yeah, just a dark bit in the center. In this way, I'm only doing it sideways because this is sideways. This one I will do slightly oval. This one also sideways. Dab and make your circle here. This is a circle here. Alright, yeah, that should do. Finally, my brown burnt umber with a little more black than you've used before, and not too watery because I want to get that burnt dry brush effect. Just be careful that the brush doesn't go past past the shape of the width of the branch, the stem. This is what I love about cherry blossoms, is that there are no, it's such a unique plant. It doesn't have many leaves, and that's so, I mean, that's so unique about it. It doesn't have leaves, so you're just drawing a cluster of flowers and brown branch, and it has leaves but far too few to paint. Nothing like other plants. So heavy on leaves. And yeah, 2 cards. Alright, so those are my 2 Sakura cards. I'm going to move aside these things and see whether I can do some little bit more just to make this. Okay, so I'm going to leave these over here for you to see. Also this card here, everything is drying. What I'm going to do, one last thing, for those of you who are awake and don't mind waiting, I'm going to see if I can ink a happy birthday inside. Okay, so I'm going to put in a line. Just trying to does this look straight? Okay, it is what it is. Now I will use I'm going to use my dip pen and my trusty poster colors. You can use whatever color you want. I am just using this because this is what's available at the moment. Watercolor is a little too thin for lettering, so I end up using poster colors. This is risky business, huh? Do not attempt if you do not want to attempt. There you go. Definitely need more. Oops. Oh. Yep. Not a smart thing to do. I'm going to do this in a hurry and I don't want to ruin my painting, so let's abandon this. I'm going to go in with a what do they call them, pen. Yeah, just a pen. There you go. Going in with a pen. Hi Fiona. I hate it when I make. I think I can do it and I just do it, wing it, and it goes wrong. Yeah, wait for it to dry and then just erase the pencil mark. Meanwhile, yeah, that's about it. If you do this on a smaller piece of paper and you want to put it on a bound, this is how it will look. So your card will look will be red or pink or whatever color you choose to put, and you mount it on top of it, and this makes for a nice frame as well. So yeah, I'm going to leave this on top for now, just so you can see if it were plain, this is how it would look. Yeah, use whatever you have. I had this pen. This is a lovely Pentel signed brush pen. Yeah, Pentel I think. Yeah. And these are handy when you want to write cards. So use your inspiration. Let me show you one more I have here. This is a quote. You probably have seen this post. I really like the way these sakura came out with poster colors, and I was able to bring in some shades of white, and the lettering of course was the primary focus in this study. After I did the lettering, I did the flowers. So, but fun, great fun. Thanks, Archana. Don't worry. These things don't come unless you try many times. If I had a chance, I would have shown you all my attempts at trying to get sakura looking decent. I don't have all my sketchbooks, but I've done this so many times. Finally, I realized I enjoyed this version of it the most because I was able to make a lot of it. Share with me, Archana. I can tell you what you could try. Maybe something that you could tweak and you'll get it. It's very simple. Thanks for those of you who are in India and joining so late, for being so patient. But tomorrow is a holiday and I don't need to wake up early, so I thought. Yes, Alka, please do share. And somebody will get 2 cards for me. I have 2 cards now. Alright, happy spring everyone. Hope to see you in my next live, whenever it is. Thank you and bye.